Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
So now you want to plug those in.
And the funny part is,
And
right,
go into the encoder
I
and
went to
start
sit on the
actually-
rocking chair,
It's on the wrong
and
one.
it's
No,
broken.
it's on the right one. No, it's
I mean,
not.
he's a big dude. Yeah, so I was like,
So you want
oh.
encoder on video.
That's- Because I had to spend most of my time on this bed. At first, I was like, I'm probably gonna need to sleep on here. Yeah.
And
Because I couldn't sleep, I was sleeping. Do I need to?
Just rotate.
Okay, yes, yes, sorry, if you were looking for sympathy, I
Oh,
definitely.
no, you don't.
Doesn't it feel weird to sign?
Action here.
I just practiced on that.
Oh.
Sure I didn't.
Yeah, I know, so we're gonna record it. So take that one out and try to get it. Confusing.
So you left there non-public?
Yeah, last night. Never mind the details.
He's like, oh, I thought he was here.
Well, there was an issue with.
Was it my fault?
Well, I didn't even write you because you didn't seem as if you were taking notes. I'll note it. So I need this.
If we can do this, if we can make this go fast, I left my 3 angels of children alone with my mother-in-law, my husband's
You
study.
can't record it here because that's not.
If the fire department or the police respond to my house.
You see them flying by.
Yeah.
Really heavy.
Well,
My
my table
table
was
wouldn't
on.
go on it upstairs with it. So you just, yeah.
Are we tabling the budget adjustments? Or are you gonna?
I gave you the, oh, no, sorry.
All right, so I'll just start what I would normally start. Keep going.
2 minutes.
I told you. Wrong.
We're not gonna pull it.
Silenced. That's for me, basically.
sign up to speak? What? Did she want to sign up to speak?
Noel, do you want to sign up for comments?
Public.
No, she doesn't, she asked.
All right, it is 5 p.m. August 10th. Call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Art Spalding Senior.
Jenna Darling here.
Steve Morris here. All right, quorum. We'll now rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have adjustments to the agenda. You want to table it? There's only 3 of us, so if you abstain or vote no.
Well, you're talking about the budget adjustments. Yes, I guess I would like to put this on today, and I'd like to just go through. And when I had given you in the past, I put the number of it, so if somebody wants to reference it from the public, they can. And so my question is that acceptable? I should think it would be. So on each one of them that we have, that we the number of, should something on that, something like that. Yep, so
Table the budget adjustments. Vote.
Once all the adjustments are made, we'll do a roll call.
I would like to add critical shortage, which is elementary school. And then I would like to add, just
So we should put that at
Under I? Is that stable?
shortage under I.
And then if I could add suspension, permission for superintendent?
Stand at the bottom, or you want to?
Yeah, that'd be fine, okay. And then under non-public, if I could add K, which would have to do with the Freudian contract, please.
I do not.
Clerk, do you have any other? All right. So then, roll call vote to change, adjust the agenda.
Jenna Darling, yes.
Steve Morris, yes. Public comment, we had no one sign up. Anybody else in here like to? All right, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from July 13th, public. I have a motion.
I move to approve the public minutes of July 13th.
second.
Any discussion on the public minutes?
Check that it's all is okay.
All right. A motion to approve, do we?
Yeah, I made the motion, he seconded.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? Sorry, I'm thinking one ahead to the non-public, right? I do have some adjustments for the non-public minutes for July 13th. I had put that Rob DiGregorio, is that right?
Yes.
He did not attend, so I need to remove him, and then I need to correct Daryl's name again because I used the previous copy and did not change it. So I need to add, make sure that both R's and both L's are in Daryl's name. Do we have any other adjustments?
But I will move the non-public minutes of July 13th.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? abstained, motion passes.
No roll call?
For,
No.
that's not what we just did.
We didn't do roll call,
Oh,
but you don't have to, but
Okay.
it's up to the
That's fine.
board. So,
We don't have to.
okay.
we don't have a student representative report tonight, so we'll move into the Richards Handbook.
Yes.
A lot of adjustments.
Yes, so there were quite a few adjustments from the Richards handbook. We gave you it's like 2 pages, front and back, of all the changes and adjustments that were made. Some of them are just the date change or logo on certain things, but we wanted to make sure that you knew of all the changes that were done to this book. I have the principal, Rob Clark, and the assistant principal, John Stanley, here this evening to discuss any of the changes, or if you have any questions regarding the handbook.
I just have a couple questions and comments. I had a question on these might be a little bit different than when I read it online. I believe it's pages 14 through 16 when we're talking about absences and unexcused absences. So truancy is 10 half days of unexcused absences, right? But when we talk earlier in the document, on page 14, underneath the table, it says students and their parents and guardians will be required to meet with the assistant principal to develop an attendance plan once they have at least 15 unexcused absences. Is there a reason for that, or should that match?
Well, that's a good question. What we've done is, we'll send out three letters.
Right.
And we'll start to communicate with parents. In the past, we've waited that long as part of what we've done, which isn't probably the best reason. But we were hoping that they would make some changes to their attendance prior to that, after our 3 letters. And then when it gets to that point, we need to bring them in and do a review and plan.
That's,
So those letters, are they ramped up and
We started out acknowledging that we see that their son and daughter have been out X number of days, and then we want to keep them aware of and make sure that their records are our records are the same as, and so forth. But each one gets a little bit more in-depth, and the third one will identify potential chins, truancy, and those types of things. If I could, to say the least, probably not as effective as we would like to have it be. And so we're committed to making connections earlier.
the other thing I had was on the preschool part of the handbook. There were 2 sections labeled toys. One was on page 26, toys from home, and then on page 27, there's toys. And they have slightly different messages. So one says that additional items from home are not necessary, but arrangements can be made. And the other one on page 27 says do not allow. So I think that's just a little conflicting there.
Thank you. Just so you know, we had the preschool kindergarten separate book, and we combined it to preschool, so.
And then on page, sorry, I should know this better. It was under the special education. It listed up to age 21. Aren't we now up to age 22? So all 3 of those have to be updated.
Yep.
And the last one, I'm sorry, I keep flipping because I can't find the page. I have it on my computer. Can we revise the pickup patrol paragraph, because it's pickup patrol spelled 3 different ways.
Yes.
And then the last thing was under food, which I will find. It says, are we still using my school bucks? Because it lists it in that paragraph. Let me find it, sorry. It still lists my school bucks, and I wasn't sure that we were still using that.
That's a very good point. Are we? I don't know that.
I don't
Yeah,
believe
I don't
so,
think we
because
do.
just as a parent, I have
Right.
a balance, but I've just been paying the school. So I will find that page in just a second and look. But yes, it still lists that, and I just think that might be confusing for parents.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
My question kind of relates to all 3 in the sense of because if a parent has a kid in each school or 2 of them, it's 150 pages of reading. And if they've read them before, does this get published anywhere, or is it just for us? Like where it shows like a...
Usually it's just for you.
Okay. It's a lot of reading for parents.
So if I could, I would agree with you if I may. There's too much here. And we've made a lot of changes in 2 years. And it does get a little convoluted, and we don't, so it's not user-friendly. It's not even worded in, I think, a very helpful way. And so this year, we're gonna have staff look at the pieces that we own as Richard's School, not policy, what have you. And we're gonna look at making decisions on whether we're gonna change, or we have to really look at rewording it, and presenting a document that is easy to use. I guess that's the best way I can say it. It just isn't.
That's one of my takeaways from my previous career was try to, I mean, there's a lot we have to cover, obviously, but it's still, just like you said, so I appreciate the acknowledgement and look forward to seeing what y'all come up with, just because it makes sense to try to make it boiled down. That's why I like this, because if you've read it last year and you just go through this and look at the changes, but
And it's something that we could include. We can put that in there.
Or even
On the second
like
page.
as a second page.
Right.
like
Yeah, we can make the second
update
page
from-
of the updates for the 2023-24 school year. So
We do have to go through and make adjustments. I appreciate it. More eyes on it, better. Mr. Paul?
This is just a comment on the welcome letter, page 5. Second paragraph. And set a 4-year goal of 70% of students achieve competency. When I read that, being a business person, I took the 70%, and that's 4 or 5 not making the grade. And I would say goals need to be set high enough that they are possible to reach, but maybe out of reach in the end. But I would really like to see that 70% go to something that's higher. It's putting that out to the public, it's a lower expectation.
But it's actually higher than the state's expectation. You know, the state's goal is like 60%.
So,
I mean, I know it's not what you want to hear about, like, that's the state of, so actually, we're shooting for the stars compared to the state.
If I may, because I appreciate the question, I struggled with that. When our team leaders sat and talked at the end of the year, and we needed to rise our standards, they came up with 80%. I presented that to West Ed Diagnostic, who is helping us move out of our CSI. And they said, we want to be able to make that a realistic goal, okay? And so that conversation was real. we want it to be as high as it can possibly be, and if the 80% is it, you know, that, I understand that. But 70 was, I compromised, and I probably shouldn't have after that discussion, because we do want to try to attain that goal. Maybe 4 years, we may not be able to get to that, but that's what I want the public to know, is that we're striving to do a lot better than what we're doing right now.
Yes, sir.
Not to debate you, but
No.
the public is not going to know where you are now, probably. They, you know, they'll know where you are, but not a percentage to it. And so, in putting it in the terms of 70%, to me, I'd either leave it out and be vague, or I would put it higher. Every athlete that becomes really good at what he does, when he started out and he ends, he turns around and looks back and he can't believe that he did it. And that is because of the effort and stuff that's put in to reach the goal. Whether you're a swimmer, football player, whether you're Elon Musk and want to land a rocket back on a barge in the middle of the ocean on its racer, it has to be a goal. And so my suggestion would be, and I would compromise, let's go to 80. I was going to ask for 81. So that's just my opinion.
Sorry, I just had one more thing that I caught on page 14 under attendance expectations. The last sentence of that first paragraph says the district goals for 2019 and 2020 were 96%. So I don't know if we're just carrying that forward, but I think it should just be updated.
Any other questions? All right, so do we need to, is this an action item?
Yep, yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve of the handbook?
I move that we approve the Richards handbook for the 23-24 school year. With changes, with the changes, please.
Second? I'll second. All those, are there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain?
So
You're good.
All right. Go to the middle school handbook.
All right, so the same thing, you have a 2-page that tells you the cover and some of the changes the pages, and what has been changed and made in this book. In this handbook, you will notice that there are some major changes that have been done in this book, and we're pretty excited about it. And here tonight I have Dave Bailey, the principal, and Mr. Ed, I never say Oberhofer, here tonight to discuss any of the changes that you see in there.
Well, the big one is going to be the cell phone policy change, and I'm only bringing that up just so that it's discussed here, so that everybody knows that we know about it. I don't necessarily know that it's a change, more so as it is enforced.
If this is how it works. But also the locks, there will be locks on the lockers, so there will be a secure place.
And there's a slight change because before it was off and in your backpack. I don't even want it in their backpack. You know, I want it in the locker. I want the lock on the locker. To be honest with you, the cell phone usage schoolers, that I feel is very connected to a lot of the behavior issues that start to get out of hand, because they're still readily accessible and they're able to like sort of sneak them. And I think having them in the locker with a lock on the locker will make them that much more inaccessible to the kids. I don't think they're developing ready to learn sort of the responsibilities they can see with the high school kids that we want to get them to. So I think the middle school kids, we need to have them obey.
So what we have done is, we have lockers that we will be providing all students that will be on their locks. So before, it was supposed to be in the locks, but then who was responsible in the lockers, but who's responsible for them if they get stolen, because there's no locks on them. And we can't really say to parents, you need to go out and buy a lock for the locker. And so we now have all the locks that will go on the lockers. We will be providing all of those. And so we feel they will be secured and safe in there. And we do know that parents, you know, on the way to school, kids will have them. But once school starts, they'll go away. And then at the end of the day, because parents like to know when their kids are coming home. We've also purchased and created posters that will go in each one of our buildings, all around our buildings. So there'll probably be about 25 of these in all the classrooms that go over what the cell phone policy is, what the rules are, and the expectations for the students. So they will be on there. One of the big things that we just want to make sure that the public and everybody is aware of is that when anything that comes on school property is up for control, so we can seize and take anything that is in the child's possession. So one of the big things is people say, well, you can't take the kid's cell phone if they have them. By law, we actually can. So if a child has a cell phone in the building and they're not supposed to, then we go through the protocol, and what we do first, you know, ask them to go put it away and have that conversation, and then it does get confiscated. So we will have that.
So it's a tiered approach.
Yes.
It's important for parents to understand is that the cell phone in middle school will be confiscated after it escalates to that level.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to focus on education, not texting.
Correct, and we had so many issues with cell phones last year that was a big interference into education of students, and we're here to educate students. So.
I'd like to have us have a real discussion about we have to do it, why we have to do it. We might even read it in full. We need the public to know and the parents to know that we are making a substantial change, and why. Because there are going to be 100 questions of why. And to me, it boils down to, I'm sitting here with my phone, and you guys are working here doing, and I'm doing what? I'm just here as a body? No, we're here to learn. And so this person here might look over and I might show her a picture. Now, I've interfered with her education. I might be here getting the forces ready for class break to beat somebody up in the hall. Those things may sound like they don't happen, but anything can happen. The children have gone there to be educated, and I do not believe a cell phone in that forum adds to that. So I'd like somebody to disagree with me so we can get into a good conversation this.
I think we're all in agreement based on the conversations that we've had over the last year, the behaviors.
Well, somebody called somebody, might want to come back.
Well, I do know that the middle school is having a parent orientation, parent-student orientation, and that will be a topic that is discussed and addressed there.
Yeah,
So it will be
I
something
suspect
else
we'll probably get a lot more feedback based off of that than us.
And then,
because there'll be 12 people
and
watching.
then we'll have
Yeah.
the get together. And
Then they'll all show up at the school board and we'll have, have that discussion then.
well, just to put my 2 cents in, I think this is probably the biggest thing that we have done recently that will have a very quick impact on education in a good way. So yes, there will be turbulence in the beginning, but that's fine. If that's the cost of education, that's a cost we're willing to pay.
I agree, but I'm looking forward to the enforcement of it evenly. You know, sometimes whether it's as a parent or as a teacher or as an administrator, well, so-and-so got to do it, but so-and-so didn't. So I think it will be good. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I think it will be good. So.
Yeah, that'll be the hard part, because there's, I don't know, I was having a discussion after I was reading through it at the house, and it's kind of one of those things to where, you know, if someone were to use like their phone or whatever, and they're not a disruption, and you can kind of tell that it is something, that grandma had a surgery or something, they're trying to get that information, parents write you, whatever, and they go off and do it quietly, it's one thing. It's the kid or the student that is doing what Bert had suggested, texting, or it's on TikTok or whatever, and being the disruption, and then that's where kids are like, well, they got to make a call. And then you got to be able to explain it, like, the world doesn't operate where everybody has to do exactly the same thing. Like, you're doing something wrong, they had an emergency, two different situations. And so that's going to happen, I have a feeling, a few times, and you'll be handling that situation before it makes it to the board probably. But it comes down to, and Mr. Oberhofer had mentioned it before, is consistency and just being consistent. And that goes for everything in the student handbook, by the way, but the cell phones, I think of all the 3 different handbooks, that was the big change, biggest as far as impact, that may have more discussion to follow. But it'll be interesting to see how the parent-teacher orientation goes with that. Yes, sir.
There's also this discipline message in it. Now, this is a rule that you're going to have to abide by. And then as far as behavior is concerned, I'm not texting the girl over there, telling her I don't love her anymore, and she's now crying and running out of her room. You know, I mean, it goes so far. It's unnecessary to take the mind somewhere else rather than the education. So, I'm all for it, people, and if you want somebody to beat up, come beat me up. Gotta change.
I had something that applies to all 3 handbooks, but I took the elementary school one. So the use of building, which is on page 37 of the Richards one, because I flipped the page here. I haven't read that policy in a while. I don't know if we should link the policy there. So it just says that the main office must be notified and must complete a request form for groups, but I thought there was more to it than that policy. I didn't know if it had to come through the district level. It was outside of school.
Right
To be
now,
honest, I don't remember.
yeah,
So.
and I think we just kind of changed that a little bit because it
Okay.
did, and I didn't know what was going on in our buildings, and so we
Yeah.
just had that conversation
Okay.
that there are certain, they have to because of the fact. So now it does, so now it goes to the building, then it comes up to me, because one of the
Okay.
things that we need to make sure is insurance-wise, you know, events that are not school-sponsored have to have their own liability insurance, and so it has to come up to Melissa, and then Melissa and I go, you know, Melissa gives me a form and I sign off on the form after reading it. So there is another piece to that, so.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I just saw main office when I read through it, and it just,
Okay.
to make sure it came up to this level. As long as that's what we're doing, I'm okay with that.
Wait, so what's the main office?
So-
SAU or the principal?
I took it as, well, that's true.
Yeah, so-
If individuals or groups wish to use any facility for co-curricular or non-school activities, the main office must be notified. I took that as the main office of the individual school as opposed to the district office.
And that's exactly how it was.
Okay.
But now what happens is the main office then kicks it to us.
Okay.
And then so they know, they have to look to see, do they have space available? And then if it is, then what they'll do is they'll notify the person that's coming here. Then we make sure they have all the necessary documents and the insurance coverage and everything. And then we send it back down to them, giving the approval.
So we linked the request form, I think all of them have it linked in there, but on the request form itself, it's, office of individual buildings who you can contact, and it does include the need to have proof of insurance and those types of things if you're an outside organization coming in.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. Thank you.
Is there any other questions or concerns with the middle school? All right, we have a motion to approve the parent-student handbook.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Next, we'll move on to we got Sugar River Valley.
I think the high school one and Sugar River Valley are together.
Yeah, now they're combined.
Yeah, they're combined. And so you want, same thing, there is on here the two-page document that has the changes and the adjustments that you'll see in the book itself.
Do we have any discussion about the high school?
Mine was just the same as far as the special ed changing the age.
Special ed says 21 in your book and it's 22.
Doesn't it say through 21? I'll double check.
Oh, okay.
It might, it's a good point out there, so I'm going to double check.
Are we keeping the remote learning spiel in all of the handbooks?
I have an opinion on that, if you want to hear it. I would like to keep the remote learning if for no other reason, if we ever, for example, first off, I hope we don't ever repeat remote learning the way we did with COVID. That was a whole other world. But where it may become helpful is if we ever were in a situation where we went beyond our allotted and built-in snow days, and we chose to access remote learning to help, like say we had a sprinkler rupture or something in the building and we had a closure beyond those days, it might be nice to access remote learning as a tool. So for me, leaving it in there if and when we needed it would be a lot easier than going through what we went through when we had nothing and on the fly had to build it. That was my logic.
I'm okay. Shannon, do you want to talk a little bit, Sarah, a little bit about the change to your cell phone policy?
I think it's just trying to stay more consistent. Because in the high school, we're trying to educate the students on when it is and isn't appropriate to use their cell phone, so they do have a little more freedom than the other buildings. They have locations and times where it is acceptable to use it, during passing time and during lunch or something like that when they're not learning. They are not allowed to use it at all during instructional time unless a teacher tells them that it's appropriate to take it out. Maybe they're using a special app that goes along with what they're learning. Take a picture of a diagram that the teacher's drawn for their reference, things like that.
Directly related. Yeah. So during classes, it should be directly related to their learning. We just want to be clear about that. Some of our kids, I will say, are pretty good about this. They're understanding at an earlier age when's an appropriate time to pull out their cell phone and when is not. But we do have students who are not as astute with that, and so I think that the posters we'll put up and the message we'll send to our parents during orientation, or the parent night and our student orientation, will just be more clarifying and consistency. So no during classes, and then we expect you as high school students, as young adults about to enter the adult world, that you utilize your work habits that we're promoting with collaboration, communication, and problem solving. So if you have an emergency, like Steve was speaking to earlier, that you communicate with your teacher, hey, I need to step out for a minute, my grandmother has been in the hospital or something. There's no human that's going to say, absolutely not, unacceptable. But I think it's appropriate for them to work that out in an appropriate young adult manner. And so that's what I like about the high school level of this. And we do clarify responses to infractions. So, and it is a graduated response. So the hope is that once people get an understanding of this is how the climate and culture is going to be in the building, these are the expectations around cell phone use, that it becomes just part of our norm.
We've also created posters for the high school and for CTE. CTE is a little bit different because they have learning labs that the kids go into that it's under no circumstances at all. So we have posters for them as well that will be going around the buildings and in all the classrooms.
We also included earbuds. They're not allowed to be, have their phone in their backpack with music going and an earbud in. That's also not included.
I think that'll be probably the biggest change in the high school. And anybody who geeks out on brain science, there is lots of studies. If you're listening to music and trying to listen to somebody speak or deliver instruction, you're utilizing the same parts of the brain at the same time, which is not going to work. So one thing or the other is being left out. So we think it's really important that kids are focused, so that earbud, we are going to stand on that it is not something to be used during classes.
To go back to the remote learning, I'm in disagreement. It's a lot of effort to fail big time. And so therefore, in an emergency, you figure out your resources and how you're going to do what and when on a different set of tracks. It didn't work. And so strongly, so to the point, we need to have done better. What we did was a mistake. Yes, we thought, as a society, we thought it was great at the time, but it didn't work and sufficiently. And so if another time came that we had to react in a similar fashion, it would have to be significantly changed or find an alternative way where you actually set up classrooms in other buildings of a community. Anything other than trying to get them to sit in front of a computer and learn with no supervision.
Part of it was a lack of resources with internet in this town. This town hasn't made it to the 21st century. We're going to have a $28 million sewage plant, but we're not going to have high-speed internet.
So I just want to say, Bert, it's not, what we're talking about is years ago, what used to happen is we'd give kids backpacks with all kinds of papers in them on snow days and say, here, do this, so that counts as a school day for you. So instead of doing that, what we do is we just have the kids go on the computer and they get the assignments. It's just for like a snow day or an emergency. Like last year we had no power because of a storm, so all of our buildings were down or something like that. We could do something if the kids had access to it, obviously. But so it's not something that we're thinking that we're going to close school for weeks and do it. It's just if there's a snow day, because we have built into our schedule 5 snow days. So if we had a 6th or 7th day, then we have to start making them up at the end of the year. And instead of doing that, we could pose that we do a remote day. So the kids the teachers would assign stuff for the kids to do on that day.
That's a lot of time.
Yes. Yeah.
It would not be a problem.
Correct.
That's putting on the 35-mile-an-hour tire and going down the road with it doing 35 miles an hour.
Yes.
I understand that.
Okay, good.
But doing it long-term, because a building burned down, a building collapsed, or something else, find another building.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Can I also say, I agree as well. And for me, what the handbook portion has is not that full remote learning book that we all remember, or I remember very well. This really just speaks to appropriate use of technology in the event that you're not sitting directly next to your teacher, and that when we have students accessing Google Classroom, which they do already, on it, like if for homework and things like that, or if they were out sick, It just talks to, when you're doing your work appropriately, how we would count that towards your attendance, and if we so chose to do in a one-off situation. So from an attendance perspective and a behavioral expectation around that, it gives really those core pieces. It's not the full remote handbook. I don't know if you remember that piece, but it leaves a lot for us to still build if we were building. This is one small chunk.
And you updated the bullying in all three to represent the training that was received? as
Yes,
well?
they did.
It's not just at the high school, but all three of them have some updated bullying compared to the previous year, so it's, for parents out there, it's important to look through that as well, to understand bullying and the difference between somebody being mean today versus a bully. Just because somebody's mean to you and says something ridiculous doesn't mean they're a bully. It means that they said something ridiculous. Now, if they do it, right, there's criteria that needs to be met.
Correct.
And so it's important, from my perspective, I believe it's important to know that language and the definition so that when you use the word bullying and you're using it wrong, it takes away from the effect of bullying, right?
Yes.
So, anyway, it's important, and it's addressed in all three handbooks, including the high school. And I think it's important. My 2 cents. Anything else? We have a motion to approve the high school and Sugar River Valley Technical Center. Second? Oh, I'll second it. Open more for discussion, please.
You were right, I need to update the special ed page.
With
Thank you. I just, so with changes.
With changes.
Please.
Thank you.
Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Me.
Opposed? So 2-1. All right.
Thank you for all the work you all put into those.
A lot of work. Next, we have the SRO MOU update.
Yep, so I just wanted to give everybody a brief update that I'm happy to report that our MOU for the SRO has been signed, and Paul will be continuing as our SRO for the upcoming school year. So that was done, so we're pretty excited about that.
Awesome. All right. Any discussion on? Next, we have the bus barn update.
Yep, so the bus barn, we're still awaiting the agreement from the town. However, we've been getting quotes needed for concrete, repair the door, and we're putting a few requests for a small space outside of the building. And so we're working on that currently. So that's where we're at right now, but we're just waiting to hear back from the town.
And then the town has our discussion that we had here, and that's what they're working on, right? Like our 12.
Yes, yes. When I had called there just to speak with Paul about it, he was unaware of that, and so when he found out that they were supposed to be working on an agreement, he said he would get right on it. So, and I mean Paul Brown when I say that. So he said he'd get them right on it. And I know Bert's been working on it as well, so he may have stuff he wants to add.
Something we didn't include in the 12 items was what we could do outside. And if we move the accommodations that are inside, they're not amenable to being outside. So what do we do outside? If we put a camper-like office or something out there, we're going to be subject to a tremendous snow load. Picture this building as being a garage, and we're down at that end, we're off the end, and the prevailing winds are this way. The drifted snow goes over and down. So I've come to conclusions myself that that is not the best thing for us to do. So what I'd like us to do is to figure out how we can actually attach to that building on the outside. Have an entrance between the two and that accommodation. We would have to go to the Board of Selectmen and get approval. That is what's called a leasehold improvement. Jenna owns the building, And I said, Jenna, can I remodel the bathroom? She says, hell no, Bert. No, you do it. Most do, providing they do it right and you look at their plans. And so, assuming that we do it right, I should think that the town would approve. 99 years later, they get, what's that? But I've got to get us away from that, I call it porta potty, because of the location where we'd have to put it. And outside of that, we get the floor inside, the busing.
I don't have one preference over the other as far as the type of building. I just want it to be nice. Like you said, 99 years from now, we turn it back over, it still looks good, or 20 years from now, it's still functional, and it can, if it's not a trailer or anything like that, if it's built in, that it can handle the snow load as well.
And that gives more parking inside, more room inside for the other things that they need as the bus fleet grows or whatever happens. I think it's imperative that we do something that's more permanent. And assuming that we can get Rob over there to give us enough money to do what we want. So I have to get him on board. I'll bring him a flower or something.
Yeah,
We're getting quotes, how about that? There we go.
well, I mean, as long as we get quotes and we're trying to do it, I mean, we're not trying to spend an arm and a leg, right? I mean, we're trying to be fiscally sound, and to me, as a board member, that's what I want, is good for the employees, because that's going to improve everything for the students, and it's going to improve the town as a taxpayer. As long as we're doing it professionally, which I think we are, then you've been working with Paul, right, to try to figure out what we can and can't do, or
Not yet.
not yet?
Not yet. In fact, if he's listening tonight, that's news to him. First, we gotta figure out what we would do and get a cost. I mean, if it turns out that it's beyond the reach in dollars, then we gotta do something else. But I believe that this can be done reasonably. It can be done quickly. The superintendent said something like before the beginning of school. I'm not sure that happens. And when I raise it in front of the selectmen on the 14th, I may get booed out, who knows? But
I mean, they've been working with us, well, up to that last meeting we had, but then I'm sure with the transition and everything, but it sounds like we're getting
It's been great, it's been great.
the communication back up there. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have, I mean, I would love stuff done before the beginning of the school year, don't get me wrong. But if it comes that it's going to take a multi-year process, do we have that kind of laid out in the improvement plan of what we want to get done when? So that we're not...
I don't think we've necessarily laid it out. I mean, we've had the conversations about pouring the concrete, which would only take a couple days, and we've had that. And so I think if we have the concrete inside and we have a building outside, then, I mean, then all the rest can come in time. And so we're not really concerned about all that. You know, we talked about heat inside the building. And so when we talked about that, we said, well, we know that the CTE is being renovated in there. In the automotive, we have heaters in there that are actually going to be replaced because they have a new system going in, so we'll take those heaters and move them over here. So there is going to take a process of time for it. So when I say it would be nice to get things within a year, it's just the conditions that they're currently in, as we all know, are not ones that I would like to keep them in. And so we're very fortunate right now that we're actually looking good as far as drivers go, and we know the first part of educating a child is getting them there. Right, and so we're looking really good as far as our CDL drivers go. I think this year we're going to have, we're probably going to be up to where we've needed to be for years for drivers, so that's great, and now it's to keep them, right? And so to provide an adequate place for them to be is the next step, so.
Now, what some people don't know is the drivers have to do a daily report on their vehicle. And they have to have a place to do that. I guess you could say they could do it on the steering wheel, but it's cold out there. And so that, and if they have some time between runs, a place to go would be. That in and of itself would be an asset to retention of drivers, as opposed to, oh, go sit in your car and make it up. We as the super said, if we don't get them to school, we don't educate them that day. So we've got to have drivers.
I appreciate the work that everybody's been putting in on it, between Caleb and the admin here, the staff, the select board, helping us out. All right, any other updates for the bus park?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, next we have the building, CTE building permit update.
Yes, so I'm gonna actually do kind of 2 for 1. So the building permit and the CTE land, they kind of go together. And so the CTE land, we're currently working on an MOU with the town. The town attorney, our attorney has completed the MOU, and it's been approved and sent to the town for their approval. So I'm just waiting to hear back from the town whether it's going to be approved or not. I believe that that is what's going to be discussed at the 14th, because when Paul Brown made some adjustments to when we would have our permit by, it said by August 15th, which is the day after the select board meeting. So I think that the select board is just waiting to have this in place before they sign the permit for us. So it's kind of a twofer. I think that by the 15th, we'll have our permit.
The permit is approved, and it's sitting there waiting for the final straw.
I thought they didn't hold up our permit.
That's what we were told.
I thought I read an article in the newspaper that even said that.
Well, what you read in the newspaper, you've got a discount anyway, so
I'm just saying.
you can get just as much off your toilet paper. So, that being said, we tried the end of the week, but Paul was on vacation, and they didn't have a meeting. So the push would have been to do it, or wait until Tuesday. So there was a consensus, and the consensus was in our favor. So it's not like it's arbitrary and up for debate. It's
Just making sure you do it right.
so they haven't broken their promise to get out of the way.
Approve it, okay.
They're just doing their job.
Appreciate that clarification. Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate that update. I'm happy to hear that the permit's approved and we're just crossing Ts, dotting Is. What does that mean for delays for the building? Do we know yet?
We'll still be good.
We'll still,
They
okay, yep.
they already made the adjustments
Okay,
and we're fine.
great.
And the permit was contingent on the land MOU. And there also was agreement on that. So
Is that what they gotta vote on?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what they're doing on the 14th, they're gonna vote on the MOU, and that'll make it official, I would
Yes.
assume.
two birds in one shot.
Good, everything seems to be falling in place.
It is. It's great.
All right, any other updates? That's good, good news.
Nope, not on those sides. It's 2 for 1. See that?
Perfect. Future Farmers of America overnight out-of-state trip.
Yes, so the Future Farmers of America, which is the FFA, would like to attend the 96th Annual FFA National Convention, and that is in Indianapolis, and it's on November 1st through the 4th. The attendance will include an overnight stay of 5 nights in Indianapolis. The trip will include 8 students and 3 adults. We'll be representing the state of New Hampshire with a livestock judging team made up of 4 members. They'll also be attending other workshops as well. Some of these opportunities, workshops and stuff will include career development, leadership workshops, as well as agriculture, career and college expo. The cost of the trip is approximately $1,500 per student. The FFA has multiple fundraising opportunities scheduled in the fall to help cover the cost. I support this amazing opportunity, and I am asking for the board to support and approve.
I will second. They always make Newport proud and come back with way more luggage than they left with ribbons, so,
Yes.
absolutely.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion passes 3-0. Budget adjustments for tables, now we're going to go to critical shortage.
Yes, so as we've done in the past, when we can't fill positions, we have asked the board, which would be the board chair, but with the approval of the rest of the board, to approve what's called a local critical shortage. So currently, we're having a very hard time finding teachers, elementary teachers. We have a few teachers, but at this time, I'm asking for an elementary teacher. I do have someone that we're very excited about, that actually works for the district, has her bachelor's degree, is going for her master's degree. Was a para for us and is very excited and spot on with things. And I know that we were very excited when she said something to us that, I would be interested in being a teacher, because we had sent out something via Facebook saying we were looking for paras, and then another advertisement saying we were looking for teachers and that we would help support anyone that was interested in that. And so the way to get a local critical shortage approved is to first bring it to the school board, have them approve it, and then send something to the state for their approval. So tonight I'm asking the board for approval.
To approve elementary education.
Yes, critical shortage, local critical shortage.
For 1 position or more.
Currently it's 1 position. I would only do 1 at a time because I wouldn't want to do that. And when I send it in, it's for a specific person.
So how would you like that to read?
I would move that we approve the local critical shortage for an elementary teacher.
Second?
Before I take the vote, just discussion. So this good candidate?
Yes, it's a great candidate. And once, I'll send you the stuff once we decide to move forward with her, because we have to do a whole contract, and then I send you that stuff. She will also have a mentor, and so we'll provide that for her. So she'll have people in her building to work with. And she's very familiar with our student population, because she worked in our building last year as a para, and she's very familiar with the staff, and Mr. Clark can speak, and so can Mr. Stanley speak on her behalf as well, because they were both supervisor and worked with her last year.
I'm just asking just because elementary, we're
Yes,
trying to get
yes.
the foundation, but I mean, with 2 years or 3 years of supervision, mentorship, all that good stuff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 3-0. All right, and then you wanted to add
Suspension.
suspension permission for you?
Yes. So every year, the superintendent has to give permission for administration to suspend students. And so I have given letters to all of my administration allowing them to do suspensions. Now, they can only suspend up to 10 days. If there is a need to suspend longer, then what ends up happening is that usually comes to the superintendent, and that there's a due process hearing and everything that has to move forward in order to do that. The superintendent can suspend up to 10 additional days. However, I provide the permission for the administration. The school board provides my permission to suspend. And so if it goes beyond 10 days, then that would then come to the school board. So I'm asking this evening for you to give permission for me, and I have a letter that you would sign, for me to suspend if needed over the 10 days.
And then over your, so they can do 10, the principal, then you can do 10. Anything beyond that comes to us?
Correct.
And that doesn't change if we approve?
Correct. No, it's just 10, 10, and then board, then the school board.
And so you need us to make a motion, or?
Yes, please.
All right, so do I have a motion to allow superintendent suspension authority for
23, 24 school year.
23-24 school year?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? Or was there discussion?
Nope.
Too late now.
Too late now.
Too late.
All right, and so next we have our meeting scheduled for August 24th. I will be out of town that day. I don't get back until the 27th, 26th, 27th. So, I mean, y'all can do a meeting without me.
I was just asking if we could not have a meeting on the 24th and just go to September 14th.
Well, that's what you're asking for?
Correct.
It just says the date on there.
Yes, I know.
Just go for what?
It would be our next meeting, which would be September 14th.
We wouldn't move it a week. So we're what, 24?
Yeah, so the next meeting date would be August 24th.
No, if you move it a week.
If we move it, then it would be
31st.
September 14th, because that would be the second week in September. So we'd still stay on our normal schedule.
All right, so so if we have some bus barn issues, we'd have to wait till then.
Who will we call?
If there's issues that arise and we need a meeting, I'm happy to hold the meeting, as long as we can get a quorum here. So,
I don't have an issue with that, but
If things are favorable, I think we still need a meeting. If things are unfavorable. So,
I mean, we can leave it on the schedule. Just that one.
August has 31 days.
Yeah. We can always do it I mean, if we need a meeting before the 24th, we can always call before the 24th, yeah.
So how about if we scheduled it, and then if we don't need it, we cancel it?
That's up to you guys.
I'm okay.
That works for me. Just leave it on the schedule, and then the week before, just,
I would assume I would hear from
yeah.
Well,
somebody.
Take the 24th off.
Yep.
And put the 31st in.
Oh,
And then, now you're thinking ahead even, well.
sorry, I was thinking to the September meeting, but whenever we need a meeting.
Okay, we're
we
going
can make it-
cross-country, let's put 2 spare tires in our trunk.
Okay.
Let's leave the 24th, we can cancel that, and put on the 31st, so that we can have that time.
If needed.
If needed, we'd have to let NCTV know.
So do you
and the
want
rest
to
of
wait
the board.
until we determine whether or not the 24th is going to go or not? Or do you want me to schedule 2 meetings?
Why don't we wait to see if the 24th is a go or not? Because then that's more
Yeah.
work on your part, Melissa's part, to then just take it off.
We're gonna have, on the 14th, we're gonna have a pretty good idea of the environment, right, that we're in, so, 24.
Yeah, so we'll leave it on there, and then
Okay.
Jenna,
Somebody call
I won't
me.
be here, so
Call me.
if I knew how to do out of office on Gmail, I would do that, but I don't use Google products normally. All right, I'm making sure I haven't missed anything else, and now we go to new hires.
Okay. I'll hand this to you, Maura, at the end, okay? You're welcome. I would like to move 4 new hires. The first is Spencer Coronas for middle school PE, BA Step 1, $37,379. Angelina Slack for elementary, K to 2. Masters, Step 1, $39,653. Deborah Howe, elementary, Masters plus 15, Step 4, $44,510. And then Alex Goss, am I pronouncing that correctly? Okay. High school math, BA Step 3, $39,859.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I was an aye, but I was silent. Testing your hearing.
Welcome to Newport, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have resignation.
Yeah, so I have one resignation, it is the art teacher in the middle school. And she gave her resignation on the 2nd and paid the 1% of her contract to get her out of her contract, so we can release her from her contract.
Move to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Do we have any committee report outs? Kind of got it with the bus barn and the CTE.
Yeah.
Policies. No first reads. Second read, new policy. Letter number designator IHBAA, evaluation requirements for children with specific learning disabilities.
So this is a new policy that we're looking to put in place, and if approved, it'll go in place this evening. It's a brand-new policy, we never had this policy.
Is that?
This one is the one.
It's all red, yeah, it's like all red.
All red? Yeah, I was gonna, well, that makes sense then.
I think we gotta do it, it's all on reading.
I would make that motion to approve IHBAA evaluation requirements for children with specific learning disabilities.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. And then we have a revised second read, letter numerator designator, J-I-C-K?
Yes.
Is it 2 J's?
No, it should be J-I-C-K.
Let me get my glasses, just. It's like 2 J's to me. Public safety and violence prevention, bullying.
Yeah, so
Kind of what I mentioned earlier.
this one again had the adjustments to it. It had, anything that is in yellow and crossed out is what we were taking out. Anything in red was what we were adding. This came after we met with, how I told you we had been meeting with people this summer to go over our bullying information. So we met with our attorneys, we had workshops with our attorneys, we also had workshops with an organization, with a gentleman by the name of Harrison, and this is the policy that came into place that follows the laws. And this would be, if approved this evening, this would go into effect tomorrow.
Yes.
I found it to be fine except for it is very clear that the numbering under the Roman system doesn't follow through. So before we actually approve it, that's got to happen. An example of that I'll give is on the final page. The numbers go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then number 3. And on page 2, in front, under Roman 2, there are no numbers there. So all the way through, beginning to end, we need to see the numbering system.
Yeah, we'll clean it up. That's what we usually do, because once you start taking out all of this stuff, it'll make it clear and you make it black, and then everything will go into place. Because if you see like there's some that are numbered and they're either in red or crossed out, once we remove that, then the number will go to the correct number. And so when we do this, Melissa and I go through it and make sure that's clean and correct.
All right, you're asking us for a vote.
Yes, sir, please.
Gotta have that attached to the vote. I will move we accept policy JICK, subject to correct numbering.
Second.
Now, you're gonna put page numbers on these two?
I can.
But you normally do though, don't you?
Some I do, but not all.
They're there, they're just.
They're
Once it gets
there, but I
cleaned
think
up.
they're kind of like in the,
That's just formatting.
like they're, because of the formatting, so. You may find a
when
2 in the middle of a page or something like that. So,
Yeah, your
see, here's
you
page
don't
6.
You don't have
See how it's
1-inch
highlighted?
margins going. I mean, I would fell this if this was her paper. I was great. The librarian from 19 would have marked you some deficiencies off there. All right, so do we have the motion, second, and then, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Thank you for being patient with us. All right. Administration.
Communication, absolutely.
Anything from your staff?
Do you guys
I
want?
just wanted to update, I know we had talked about before the math training, and we were wondering when that was going to be happening. We have lots of PD happening the next couple of weeks. We have new staff coming in, paras and teachers alike, participating in training from the 21st to the 24th. So that will be a great week full of bonding and learning about Newport, and so that'll be really good. Science training for the new science program at the middle school will be happening on the 21st. They're headed off to Merrimack Valley because they're using the same program, and they have invited us, we're kind of working with them to have that training. And then the math training for grades K to 8 is happening on the 25th. That's the first staff day back. But we also have, they're having somebody come out and train us, but there's also an online component with courses, and so they can have that ongoing support throughout the year. So that will be, that's just a little update. I know we had talked about that before and it wasn't scheduled yet, but now it is, so.
Just to follow up, I apologize, I know I wasn't here at the last meeting, but summer school ended on the 4th. I don't know if you had talked about that last meeting. It was a combination this year of ESY extended school year, Title I. We had the opportunity to bring in a lot of camps for the kids in the afternoon and experiences that were different from past years. So I think that was really exciting with the newness. There came some kinks and whatnot, but I think
Just the first couple days.
yeah, I think overall it went really well. Credit recovery also ended. I know Ed was there for a good portion. He even got to go to the baseball game, right? So I think overall it was a great experience for all, and so that just ended on the 4th. So there's just an update on that. In terms of process and procedure when it comes to student services, as you know, we've worked hard over the last year to develop, there's a new 504 process procedure book that everyone was trained on last year. Special education policies have been updated tonight and and continue. The procedures, however, have really been updated, and paperwork has been updated. I think super excited this year to start the year with those in place instead of the mid-year shift So staff will be trained on everything new and wonderful. For goals for this year, for Student Services Department, aligning with our, school goals, the mission, vision. Last year, I really tried to focus on compliance and procedures. This year, really on teams. How can we work together? How can we create fully functioning teams that implement those procedures and really work together in order to strengthen programming? We're able to purchase a lot of instructional materials that I think will be huge for our special education department. And interventions, really, and research-based interventions, really focusing on really what is specially designed instruction and how do we make sure kids are matched up with what they need in order to be successful. So really excited to start this year with a foundation.
This month, focus will be on state reporting with the DOE 25, which is a document that they put out to report expenditures, revenues, and all of the finances for the prior fiscal year. Ed will help me with that, I'm sure. And I've also asked for an extension, because it's due on September 1st, and the DOE would like you to request an extension if you need one. The anticipation is to get it done on time, but it's kind of a safety net just to make sure that, if we run into anything, because I'm new to the district and I have to comb through a prior year finances. And there is also a webinar put out by the DOE next week on the 15th, that they go through the document of the DOE 25 and if there's been any formulaic changes since last year. So I've signed up for that, and I'll, be guided through any new information or anything in the spreadsheets that needs to be done.
I think we applied for the extension last year, and the year before, and the year before.
It's always a good idea just in case you need it.
Yes. All right, so my favorite event is coming up. The Newport School District will be hosting its second annual Back to School event. At this event, we'll be giving away backpacks and school supplies. And I think we're going to do it a little bit different this year, where we're going to have you come to the SAU tent and you get your backpacks, and then you go to your individual school tents where you will receive your supplies. So we're getting a little bit bigger this year. So we're going to have representatives from all of our schools here with their own tents. And so the kids will be able to see their building principals and other staff. So we're excited about that. We also have the Richards PTO that's going to be coming to this event, and they'll have their own table and tent. We will have transportation will be there with a bus and giving away little goodies to the kids as well. So we're very excited to have someone that will be here to answer questions about free and reduced lunch and Power School and all these great things. So we're going to be bigger this year than we were last year, and that's the goal, to kind of expand each year, get a little bit bigger. And so we're hoping to continue down that journey. So that is on the same day as the Apple Pie Festival from August. It's on August 26th from 9 to 3 right outside on our SAU lawn. So we're pretty excited about that. The second thing is the new staff week is coming up. So that is the 21st through the 24th. So our new staff will be having longer days. I think it was only 2 days last year or something like that. It wasn't very long for them to learn about the district and learn about the programs that we offer and learn about their buildings. So we will have all new staff, which includes paraeducators and anyone that is new to our district, coming in on August 21st through the 24th. Then on the 25th, that starts our first day of school, and we're going to kick the day off with workshops, and there may be some class preparations and things like that, but I know that what we had to do was wait to see when the math training would come before we could say to the teachers, this is your day to set up your classroom. And so because we usually like to do it on the first day, but we can't because they said they could come on August 25th. So that's what we scheduled the math training for, to make sure that they're successful when they're kicking off the new math program, our new K-8 math program. The 29th will be our whole district get-together at the high school, which starts off in the morning with a staff breakfast. You are welcome to attend, where I will also give a welcome back to the year speech and give away pins to staff for their years of service. And I do 5, if you've been here 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so forth. So any new staff that have reached the next marker will receive a little pin to put on their things to show our appreciation for their years of service here. And it's consistent years. So if somebody was here 2 years and then left for 3 years and then came back, it starts over. So we go on consistency because that's much easier to do in our computer system than try to have to go back in their files and do all that. So we're excited about that again this year. And we're so excited to welcome our staff back in the buildings. It's been a busy summer, but we're really excited about it. We've had so many changes taking place in our buildings that I want to be there just to see the looks on their faces when they walk in and they have almost a brand new building. And so that's very exciting. I want to talk a little bit about the first days of school. So on the 29th, Richards is going to be having a back to school night, and that is going to be from 4:30 to 6, and that is for grades 1 through 5. So that's an evening event, 4 to 6, back to school night, grades 1 through 5. On Wednesday, August 30th, that is going to be the first and second grades' first day of school, which is a half day, and that's 8:15 to 12:20. Then on Wednesday evening, on August 30th, preschool and kindergarten will have an orientation night, and that will be from 4:30 to 5:30. And then Thursday, August 31st, will be the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade first day of school, which will be from 8:15 to 12:20, another half day for them as well. Then on Tuesday, September 5th, all grades will be welcome to the building, and that drop-off begins at 7:50 a.m. The middle, and that's for Richards. The middle and high school, it's a little bit easier. The middle and high school, the first day of school, they're doing this Wednesday, August 30th. The first day of school will be for 6th, 9th, and 10th graders. August 30th, and that's from 7:30 to 11:30, also half days. Thursday, August 31st will be 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th, same times, 7:30 to 11:30. And both schools will hold a parent orientation night on Wednesday, August 30th at 6 p.m. This is what we talked about. They'll be discussing the new policies and procedures of the buildings and the policies of our schools. I also wanted to tell you a little bit about our website. We're doing some updates on our website. We are now assigning staff members to make sure that our website is current and up to date. So each building will have a representative that it will be in charge of their buildings. And then here at the SAU, we'll have somebody that will be in charge of that. But then we have somebody overseeing the whole thing. So we can make sure that current information is on our website. To make things a little bit easier for parents, Melissa found that we could put it's like a 4-tab banner on our website, and so each one has a different link. So for instance, the school calendar, now instead of having to do the drop down, when you open the web page, there's the banner that has the 4 links. One of them is the calendar, so you can click right on that. It opens up the calendar. Another one will be the any current jobs that we have available. That is one right now. And then we just recently had the bus routes go out, and so that is a quick link right there. So it's easy access for parents to be able to get things on there. We also put on the website one of the things that we didn't really have. We had our mission and vision statement, but it was very complicated to find on our website. So one of the links on there is going to be our vision and mission of our district, and I believe I gave you a copy of what this is. So now parents can go on and click on it, and what it does is it gives our vision and our mission, and then it talks about what our goals are for the district. So you can see that a goal is to increase student achievement. Our second goal is to improve climate and culture in the district. The third goal is to create a safe and healthy learning environment for staff and students. And the fourth goal is to increase community and family engagement. So these are some of the things that we'll be working on throughout our year. And so each building will work off of these goals as well, and then teachers will work off of these goals. So that way we can really start to move our district forward. These were never posted anywhere, and so everybody didn't know, well, what are our goals? What are we working towards? And so now it's on there, and we have them. And the last piece that I wanted to talk about is that we are going to be, coming this fall, we're going to be looking at putting together a team, as well as having meetings regarding the portrait of a learner. We do not have that in our district, and that's very important, where we look at what do our students need to be successful as they go throughout elementary, middle, high school, and on to bigger and better things after they leave our district. And so we'll be putting together a committee to put together what that looks like, as well as sending out surveys, having forums, and discussions on what that should look like for our students.
Is that, Shannon was still here, maybe she would know, is that the same as the portrait of a tiger that has been kind of on and off?
A little bit, yes. We also
Just
had,
more?
there was also, like, one of the other things that we don't have is we don't have a strategic plan,
Right.
which is what drives your district, what your district goals. And so once we get that done, the next step is going to be putting a strategic plan together. So what's going to drive our district to be successful for our students and staff here in our district.
We had a total rebuild of our website years ago for this one, and it got better. So I hope you look at it with the mindset that the average person that's coming there, when he pushes on school board, he ought to get all the school board stuff. It ought to be on one page, and that page might send him to page 2, as opposed to he's got to find his way through.
Oh, it's a lot better than what, the new one, that, what they get, like 3 years ago, I
Yeah.
think now? It's a
Well, one-
lot better. But now that you have a tab with the calendar, because that was annoying, because you'd have to go to like,
Yeah.
what, you know, the 7 different menus before you could get to it, when
Correct.
grandma's like, when can you come visit? When's
Right.
spring break? And it's like, I don't know.
Right. Well, and also, one of the things that I
First
talked
world problems. It took me a minute and a half to click.
Well, it took us forever to try to find the vision and mission
God,
statement on our
I know.
website. We're like, that should be easy access. That should be, because that's one of the most important things, is what's driving your district, right? And so it took us.
It really didn't make any sense.
Yeah, yes, and so it was very, so, and then the other piece that's like a pet peeve of mine is that each one of your thing, we have like, one's a link, but then one has, this is not a link, but it has a whole bunch of things that you can link underneath it. And so it needs to be the same, and so consistency is always key to me, so we're gonna be looking at making some adjustments to that, because people don't know that's a link. They just look at it, it may say school board, and you say, okay, what is that? Okay, and they don't know. Or they click on school board, and it brings me to this page, and then they see something else that may say parent information, and they try to click on it, and it's like, well, that's not a link. You have to click on the stuff underneath it, which then drops down more stuff. So we'll be working on fixing all that.
So now the two of you have boosted my morale. I mean, I go on there and I can't find things, and I begin to think, geez, Bert, you're dumb.
No.
So, we,
Older code. You got anything else?
That is it for me. It was a winded one today.
all set. Looking forward to Monday's meeting. And next week be an interesting week. That's it.
No, I don't have anything. Yes, I do. It was brought to my attention that I could have sounded since last week, got a little emotional, and I try very hard not to become emotional in this job because I think it's important. But that there was an accusation that I was implying that all members of the board had feelings in which I felt like were attacking the administration, and that's not what I was implying at all. I stand by what I said, and that I want to give the changes that you all have made time, and I want to give each of you time. But I also stand by that I want to see things be better. Maybe I have a little bit more patience. So I just wanted to clarify that and welcome everybody back to a new school year.
Yes, sir.
I knew it.
Too late.
I I'd like to clarify the last meeting also. I have a tendency to be blunt. And maybe that's overkill. But I focus. If I've got to fix something, I fix it. Get it done. And it's, so I saw the information, and the information was more stark than what I thought it should be. But now, I've got to say something. Don't give up honesty to deliver good numbers. Thank you so much for the numbers that you gave us, because it isn't the brakes coming on, it's motivation to go and get the things done. If the tire doesn't squeak, you don't fix it. So out of all of that, I don't want you to feel that you have not succeeded. And I don't want you to feel that I'm looking for a window this wide. But we just got to keep going. If we become complacent and accept the status quo, we failed. And we can't. So, with the four of you over there, no sleeping in the cabin on the Exxon Valdez.
Nope, no sleeping.
It's probably true. No sleeping.
No sleeping for me.
No sleeping.
So out of that, you get a little bit of apology, but out of it also a little push. We can't stop, and hopefully we next time are looking at numbers that are better, and the time after that better. And if we do that, then we've succeeded.
Would just say, as educators, I think it's our job to be continuing to learn and grow and push each other and the community and the kids, and I think that's what makes an educator. So I guess I couldn't agree more that that's a continual process and it never ends, it never stops.
So we come to my portion. I just want to say I appreciate the effort, making sure that we got these handbooks done before the school year started to give parents, and if any of y'all are watching, I recommend y'all take the time to read it. I think if we add the changes at page 2, that'd be really good, because that'll make it easier, just because there are 70 some odd pages, and that's a lot to go through, 12 times for some, live here all 12 years. But anyway, I digress. So I appreciate the administration putting all that together. Appreciate the hard work over the summer. Lots of improvements have gone on at the schools, and like you said earlier, it'll be interesting just to walk through there when it's all finished and see how great it is. Opportunity, it provides us the opportunity to educate our students. But anyway, that's all I got. I appreciate everything that everybody's done. With that note, we will take a vote to go to non-public.
Under RSA 91A,
That's right. I usually-
:3, Roman 2, C, I, and K.
So we do a
Second.
second from Jenna, and then a roll call vote.
Bert Spalding Senior, yes.
Jenna Darling, yes.
Steve Morris, yes. Thank you, everybody, for the main portion of the